I don't know about this backing track. What the fuck? Okay, whatever. He gave me $10. I try to do. I forgot how I used to do the Josh. Okay. Fuck, I can't do it.
Few people can.
I used to have a really great Josh, and then I stopped doing it for a while, and now I can't remember how I did the voice. You gotta break your voice like this. I can't really do it anymore. Also, I was completely wasted when I was doing all those.
Wings007 sent $2
Many
on
people
Rumble.
say that, Double O.
Josh Moonsuck stick for $2.
Many people say that. All right, you know what? I'll just do a dramatic read-through without trying to do the Josh voice. Maybe if I get into it later and remember how to do it, I will.
Have you ever read this, Ralph?
I only skimmed it barely, so no.
This thing is so full of lies and stupid bullshit. Like, he makes up most of the... It's insane.
Well, I heard
Like,
Dog Zero called it out.
Insane things.
And for the lies.
You watched the Dog Zero thing?
I have
You
that
Dog
next.
Zero fan?
Yeah.
Well, Dog Zero is one of the most plugged in. Like he knows all the lore around.
Yeah. I'm familiar with his work, and I've been linked his response. Now, okay, look. What you have to understand is that I am probably the longest running unironic fan of PPP. Lie. I think maybe 99% of people who know him just think he kind of spawned out of the gutter one day and started the Kino Casino with Andy Worski. But that's not the case. I don't think people even know PPP has a meaning. People's Populist Press. Back when Ralph was actually really popular and raking in thousands of dollars off YouTube, the atmosphere of the internet was completely different. No, it wasn't. Whatever. I could best describe the streamers between Gamergate and the end of the Trump administration as patchwork, similar to the tiles of the floor of a mental institution. This guy needs to be put out to fucking pasture, literally. Locked in grout, respecting each other's boundaries. Not very interesting or transgressive. What do you call what they're doing now? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but it's also completely delusional. Like 2018, everyone was respecting each other's boundaries.
That was a fucking bloodbath. How does he think I got famous in the first place?
It was the main time for IBS. Like that's when IBS was at its peak. Like, no, what?
If anything, it was too much of a bloodbath, and I was destined to get fucking knifed in the end, which is exactly what happened, regardless. But even in the hyper-censored days, there was an underground. I was the king of... Okay, whatever. And this was back when cow was still a thing. When some people, notably Godwinson and the PPP... Oh, you mean the guy he stole his whole act from? Yeah, okay. Yeah, good to bring him up. Notably Godwinson and then PPP would do is just boot up streams and talk the maddest shit that has ever been talked. Yeah, lie about everybody completely. Okay, yeah, they did do that. They'd use cheap webcams or their phone propped up against the wall with the worst audio quality ever. Godwinson in particular had rules styled after the Dogme 95. Nigga, the Dogme 95, an informal set of avant-garde cinematography rules. He called Kino Dogme 2007. Audio quality, video quality, and film style had to be on par with 2007 YouTube, which he called the peak of YouTube. Godwinson calling certain unintentionally artistic things Kino is where PPP got the word. Thank you for that, Godwinson. Who always found Godwinson funny. I've never found fat fuck funny. Regardless. They were also very anti-grifting. Back during Gamergate, Patreon and Super Chats were called hipster welfare. There were no Super Chats, by the way, during Gamergate, and it was a mark of shame to have one. There's very famously a video of Medicure ridiculing someone for having a Redbubble selling things like clocks with their logo in it. Yeah, he backed off that, true. So those were the rules. Godwinson and the People's Populist Press, fat fuck Ashton Parks, followed the rules, and the gambit was they were going to talk all the mad shit that the streamers in the organized for-profit streaming patchwork would never... By the way, he doesn't understand what happened at all if he actually believes this, House. What?
No, he doesn't. He has no idea what actually happened. Like, it gets worse, though. It gets way worse.
Okay, how it broke through was they just... And I always thought Godwinson was funny even when he was lying about me nonstop. But what they would do was basically mix in kind of what the A-Logs do now. but they would mix in one or two true things and then just wildly lie, basically, and come up with these fabulous narratives. And their goal would be to get someone like me or Masterson or Mediker even, or Josh, to respond. That was the whole goal. And by responding, you would increase their renown. And there would always be a segment of retards, just like there still are, by the way, who would believe what they were saying. And they would believe the Simpspiracy and all this retardation. And so every time you would respond...
Like Josh Moon.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? There's a lot of similarities to what you see these days. But by responding, you were fucking up. Now, I was guilty of responding here and there, but other people, namely, unfortunately, Nick Rekieta, put these people on his... Well, put Ashton Parks on his show. And we eventually had a falling out over this. Now, the seeds were planted for the falling out during that. And I think he would agree with what I'm saying now. But I remember having this conversation with him in private. And I was like, look, why are you even putting this guy on your show? Like, what? That's the whole idea here. This is foolish. And then he didn't read my super chat that I sent in when he was on the show. And he was giving credence to this story about me getting him kicked out of his church, which I never did. And I told Rekieta that was completely fabricated. But Rekieta and Masterson and a couple others thought they would use... They were the ones doing the using, right? And by putting him on their show, they were harnessing this for their own benefit. And that's not what happened, Haus.
Exactly. And that's also the one big elephant in the room that Josh is just not addressing it. That PPP also went after New Project 2 and Dick Masterson and was calling Josh Moon all kinds of names. Notably a pedophile.
He called him a pedophile as late as 2023. It's on the recording, definitely 2022, 100%, but I'm pretty sure he was repeating it in 2023. So this is not some new thing at all. And now Josh is,
Josh is rewriting history and pretending to be a PPP fan the whole time.
It's
like
insane.
He was watching PPP from way back in the day. Yeah, right.
Josh and I patched things up after the whole corn joke, which wasn't really a joke, but we patched things up after that, and even after the Masterson fight that we had on the Dick Show. And then I was on D Live one day, and this is one of the few times I actually saw his fucking show live, but I saw it pop up in my feed. It's mostly I was asleep at that time. Haus, like my show was at night. Regardless, he had this fat fuck on his show. Again, repeating bullshit about me and Mediker and Masterson and Rekieta and Moon himself while Moon was sitting there. And I'm like, why do you have this fat fuck on your show? This is the equivalent of having a terrorist on your show, and he's terrorizing us. Like, what the fuck? Why are you giving this guy the microphone? Well, I mean, you know, it's clear now, but he was just trying to save his own ass, like he always is. And one day it ain't gonna be saved. Okay. But that's why we had the final break there, even though we've had a couple of truces here and there, but that's what caused the final break.
You should have never given him another chance, Ralph. Like,
I
honestly,
agree. Yeah.
Leave it at that. Josh Moon's a piece of shit. There's nothing good coming from him. He's been sneak dissing you every time you've tried to make up with him. You've given him so much every time, you know, he asks for something, you give it to him immediately, and this piece of shit never does shit. It just
I agree 100%, including just what happened a week ago, right? And as soon as I turn around, he's saying shit about Senorita, which she doesn't care, and I don't care about that, but it's to denigrate me, right? And I've had friendly-ish interactions with him recently, including in DMs, and I didn't leak the DMs. I still have.
Because he's a slimy little shit. Like, he's never gonna be mean to you to your face.
Well, I wish I would see him in person one day, but I don't think that's ever gonna happen. And he came in here asking for some shit about Gator, and I was like, yeah, you know, I'll send it over, no big deal. They smile in your face, as Project Pat said on that sample. They're backstabbers. Okay, anyway. Those are the rules, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's see. Matt Jarborough is a good example of what happens to someone who upsets the balance and gets stressed down by all the big boys. What?
Yeah.
What?
Matt Jarborough was
speaking truth to power? When did this happen?
Yeah. He was just a renegade rebel from the outskirts. trying to take down all the big boys.
He was a corny
YouTube
faggot who
establishment.
got busted out. Now, of course, nobody liked him, but it was because he was a corny faggot. I mean, I have my own reasons. He fucking attacked my ex-wife while I was in jail. There were some other reasons that I didn't like him, but like, whatever. Wow, the truth teller, Matt Jarbaugh. I've never heard it put quite like that. Okay. Goblinson and PPP having absolutely no financial incentives and no real audience had no rules to play by. So they prop up their phones against the wall, open Google Hangouts, use that to stream to YouTube without using OBS. OBS was abominable to the Kino dogma. That's why fat fuck still can't use OBS to this day and has to tolerate Worski because of that.
It's the esoteric rule that they would never use the OBS. It's definitely not that they're both
They
retarded.
couldn't be bothered to use it. That's what to say. What the fuck? They couldn't be bothered to learn it. Okay. Now, in Gobbinson's case, he has music queued up and he's doing all this stuff. Fat ass never even bothered, really. Okay. And then just air out all the laundry about the then untouchable Ethan Ralph. I don't think anybody's ever thought I was untouchable, but if by airing out the laundry you mean a good 80-90% of what they were saying was completely false. They would take one thing that was true and then invent this whole crazy backstory around it. Now, to be fair, you know, it worked in a certain regard, but there was no like truth telling, very little of that about it. And it was all the shit that was already out there anyway. The actual truth that was there, whatever. Now, a normally coked up angloid, he said, and a big fat guy streaming to an audience of 40 people, I was one of them, should not upset the guys.
He most certainly was not.
No, he wasn't.
He most certainly was not one of the first 40 people watching.
And this guy was on my show all the time at this time. This is fucking just false.
Yeah, he was just somewhere in the back, you know. He was always sneak watching the Kino Casino, the PPP show back in the day. Yeah. Before the people were watching while he was calling him a pedophile, definitely, Josh. That's 100%.
Yeah, we know that definitely does not get him upset calling him a pedophile, which is accurate. But regardless, should not upset the guys making tens of thousands of dollars doing the easiest job ever created. This is not the easiest job ever created. There's definitely harder jobs, but that's a fucking lie. And I don't know who he's playing to with that. But if you think this is the easiest job, you're a fucking dumbass. That being said, he was making plenty of money. Well, I mean,
compared to being the owner of the kiwi
what I'm
farm,
saying,
right?
like,
which is the hardest job in the world.
Plus, he was making plenty of money on his streams back then too. He wasn't making as much as me, but like, he was making good money off streaming. So it's just, if you're a fucking retarded pleb and you read something like that, you're nodding along. Now, if you've actually, there are definitely harder jobs. I've always said that. And it's not that this is the hardest job. It's not. And there's a lot of things that are cool about it. And there are things that are easy about it. There's a lot of things that are not cool about it too, though. And that are hard about it.
This is definitely not the hardest job in the world, which is being the owner and operator of the kiwi farms.
Yeah, sorry, webmaster. I didn't know that was the hardest fucking job either. But I don't know. There's unique challenges. As I told Senorita the first night I met her, there's unique challenges with this job. And then she says that, oh yeah, like she doesn't care about this job at all, which is refreshing. Regardless, even though Ralph's audience was 6,000 people on a good day, the 100 or so Anons on Cal sharing clips of Goblinson and PPP bullying Ralph drove him so up the wall. I think he meant so far up the wall. He started arguing anonymously in his own defense. That's not true at all. But okay. It had nothing. I was monitoring Cal. Not posting, but monitoring Cal before I ever even knew who the fuck PPP was. Cal was a big deal in 2018. So this whole idea that it wasn't, now I don't know where it is now, and I lost track of it at Course House. I have no idea what's going on there over the years. But back in 2018, I definitely knew, and it was before Fat Ass even spread his ass cheeks. This is like spring of 2018. It had nothing to do with Goblinson and PPP, but okay. They all did this, by the way. All those big boy streamers read Red Cow, and would white knight themselves. I'm sure even Andy Worski did it too. What do you mean you're sure? There's screen caps of Worski talking about Cow.
Andy Worski is like the guy who does this all the time. Making soccer counts and defending himself.
Dude,
Like, what does he
Worski,
mean? I'm sure even Andy Worski did it. Yeah, of course Andy Worski did
dude,
it.
they nutted on pictures of Worski's sister, and he's in Discord talking about they were driving him crazy, and he was about to have a breakdown. I forget the exact quote. Somebody has the screenshot. But they had pictures of Melanie, and they were doing their cum tributes. Coach even squeezed one out to Melanie and posted it on Cal. Epic, by
In
the way.
peace, coach.
Fuck, man. Not even kidding. It makes me laugh to even think about him. I did not crank one out, for the record. Coach did. They tracked it down to his fucking post
Coach
ID.
didn't give a shit.
Coach fucking nutted on Worski's sister. That's why they hate Coach to this day, Worski and his minions. Because he didn't give a fuck. And we did have a falling out. One of my big regrets, not even kidding, that we didn't patch shit up and that he didn't make it out of the Ukraine, because I have no doubt.
He's the easy E of the sector.
No, man. Coach literally did one. I'm not just making that up. No,
Yes, he
tell
did.
him, House. I'm
He
not
actually
making that
did,
up.
yes.
He
Coach
literally
cranked one out.
fucking cranked one out on a picture of Worski's sister and posted it on Cal.
Coach was famously one of the most prolific
Yes.
cow users ever. Like, not even from the streamer side, just one of the most prolific users. Like, from
Yes.
everyone there.
He was on
Coach
Cal
loved cow.
all the time. No shit. And sometimes you could pick out his post, honestly. But he also went through and sometimes on his shit stream videos, he would say which like ID post was his. Right? Anyway, whatever. I miss those videos. Even though he was talking shit about me. Look, I like stuff that's funny. That's one reason I don't really respect any of these faggots out now, because anytime I see any of their shit, I'm not laughing. And it's not because they're talking shit about me. Goblinson was talking shit about me. Coach was talking shit about me. And I would still sit there and chuckle because it was funny. It's all so like retread and just unfunny these days. Whatever. Some people are not gonna get it or think I'm bullshitting, but I'm telling the truth. They all did this. Okay, I read that part. PPP's real gift as a performer is his background as a youth pastor. God damn, just get on your knees, Moon. He has a classic American Southern Baptist style fire and brimstone way of casting condemnations on people, even when he does it without religious context. Though religious condemnations were way more common for him during this era, it is still very compelling. Well, I mean, if you like a fat fucking hypocrite just completely, being blasphemous and using the Lord and his, smitings of other people, then I guess you would like that. But to me, it's highly distasteful. But okay. This is also where Coach Red Pill comes in. Despite Coach not even being relevant to anything I've mentioned, for some reason he loved Cal. That part's true. He loved shit-talking streamers. Also true. And he had this enormous dating YouTube channel. I wouldn't call it a dating channel, but it talks shit about women. But would still randomly post 3 minutes of himself making fun of Ethan Ralph on Cal. No, he didn't just make fun of me. And this is after we had a falling out. He made fun of Worski. He made fun of Josh Moon all the fucking time. Why is that not being mentioned, House?
Yeah, I wonder.
Well,
Must have forgotten about that.
Well, Josh Moon was trying to use Coach to get like an extendo visa or something like that in Ukraine. And Coach was very transactional. And I can be transactional too, honestly. That's how it works in business. And he said, yeah, I can hook that up.
Oh man, it's so sad that Coach isn't around to tell that story.
Oh, dude. Oh, he told it in a video. I wish we had it right now.
But he could tell it again and again.
He's a master storyteller. I'm not kidding. And everybody thought, of course, we thought he might be dead at one point, and he ended up being alive. And he talked about this after. He definitely took notice of it because I did a champagne celebration, and this woman I used to know was in the fucking stream, and I'm popping champagne, and people thought I was serious. Nah, I was kind of, doing it to settle a certain score. But if you paid attention, it ended up being a tribute to Coach. And we're just sitting there admiring his videos, and I'm sitting there drinking, and I'm like, I wish Coach wasn't dead and all this stuff. So yeah, I never hated Coach, even though we had that falling out. Regardless,
Coach had so many iconic moments.
Yes.
Like, what is an iconic moment for PPP and Andy Worski? Like, PPP showing his ass on camera, and Andy Worski has aim.
There are
when
no
we talk
iconic
about
ones.
Coach, we talk with reverence. When we talk about PPP and fucking Andy Worski, we're like, those guys are in the gutter. Those guys are bastards, pieces of shit.
I couldn't agree more. Mitch says that turned into a coach tribute stream real fast. Yeah, no, I was always doing it to be over the top and get heel heat, to use a wrestling term. RIP Hogan as well. So I knew what I was doing, but it turned from making fun of Coach into a tribute stream in like 10 or 15 minutes, literally. We were just sitting there admiring Coach classics, which we ended up doing again later on without the heel gimmick. He really thought Godwinson and PPP were the coolest kids on the block and coveted their approval. Over the years, 3 big things change. Medicare becomes a grifter, and by proxy, whatever Medicare does is okay for everyone else to do because he's always the top dog in the hierarchy. That's disturbing, although I don't necessarily quibble with that. He shouldn't be, but some people take him as like the voice of God because he doesn't show his face. And if you ever seen his face, which me and you both have, he looks like a fucking absolute gremlin, legitimate troll-looking, just mangled face that even a dog wouldn't play with unless you tied a stake around his fucking neck. So, anyway, but he gets away with it because most people have never seen his face, and even if they have, it's removed from, they just hear his voice, and it's like this voice of God. And I always said, even though he's a piece of trash, he does have a good broadcasting voice. And since you never see him, you can't.
I think it's also just Stockholm syndrome.
Well,
like, people
that
have
too,
been stuck with that guy for so long. Like, they don't even hear the takes he has these days. Like 10 years ago, Medicare was had some of the best takes online. But these days, the kind of shit he says these days, like, it's insane. Like, Medicare after 2020, that guy has gone off the deep end. Like, he's incorrect about fucking everything he ever talks about.
Well, COVID broke this guy, and I've talked about that a lot. He's never admitted how wrong he was. Anyway, hit him on COVID any chance you get, and he has no answers for that, and he never will. Regardless, without Godwinson, Godwinson had a falling out with PPP. Without Godwinson to preach the dogma, PPP appears to have stopped caring about it. And 3, Mad at the Internet started and was the most successful podcast about internet drama in the sector for a long time. Actually, his show was around before then, but I don't think he called it that name. Whatever.
Yeah, that is the thing with all the stuff he says in this paragraph. Like, it's so wrong timeline-wise. Like, none of this even makes sense. Like, Medicare became a grifter way before PPP ever started the Kino Casino. Like, before PPP was even around, Medicare was already a grifter.
I know.
Like, the falling out with Godwinson happened during the Kino Casino arc. Like, they were friends when the Kino Casino started. Like, he was famously in the writer's room. And the Mad at the Internet thing is just bullshit. Like, that's honestly just insane.
Well, that's trying to...
PPP was inspired to do a show by Mad at the Internet. Yeah, definitely.
That's not what happened at all. PPP was broke and frozen in the fucking cabin, and even though he despises Worski and still despises him to this day, he knew that was his best way of making some money so he didn't have to be homeless. That's what happened. Didn't have anything to do with Josh inspiring anybody. Are you kidding me? What in the fuck? And the sad thing is, some of these idiots actually believe this shit because Dear Feeder said it. And I hate to even use their slang. Dear Pedo said it. And so, whatever. I believe that he looked at Medicare and said, I can grift better than that. Looked at Godwinson and said, I don't need that anymore. And looked at me and said, I can do that with more energy. This is fucking... Being someone with approximately zero technical know-how, he called up the most senior streamer he somehow stayed on good terms with and said, let's do a show. I'm going to make you rich, buddy. That's my theory. Well, that's totally wrong, so I don't know what to say.
It's like 100% wrong. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, if you know, like, the Cliff Notes version of the events that happened, you can immediately tell this is complete bullshit.
And what about Perspicacity?
Yeah, what about the writers' room? What about Godwinson? What about Squire? What about Person? What about all those guys that helped you make the show?
They're just left out of this completely. You mean the people who made the fucking show that wouldn't exist without? Okay, like now that's their albatross. They have to carry. But I'm just saying, like, what, he just called up Worski, had a different show? That's not what happened at all.
Yeah.
And the scary thing is, Moon has it's very tempting to say, he's just making all this up out of whole cloth to fool people, and it may have been that at one point, but he also has a habit where it's not a lie if you believe it, right? And so he'll start just rewiring shit in his brain. So half the time, I don't know if he's lying to con people or he's just actually that fucking deranged. And I've made this point 1,000 times, and I still can't always tell. Early KC, I really didn't like. It was and still is very loud. However, the biggest improvement is literally just that PPP will talk over Andy without mercy now. I saw it was successful but didn't like it. I developed Stockholm Syndrome for KC after I started needing to do work after about 8 p.m. and for some reason their time slot would occupy 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., which is exactly when I had shit to do. Jesus, it still goes. You might notice.
Which is also fucking retarded. He runs the Kiwi Farms. He doesn't have shit to do. He just fucked up his sleep schedule, and then he was playing video games from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. And then he was listening to the Kino Casino. Like, what the fuck is this nigga working on?
Dude, they were still trashing Josh Moon and calling him a pedophile up until August 2023. And I remember this vividly, because you may remember Josh Moon did a crossover on this show, 2 of them. That wasn't an accident, by the way. He was doing that on purpose. Regardless. And so was I. Let's continue. You might notice by this point that I just referred to the Kino Casino as a whole by just saying PPP. Yeah, because you're a cocksucker. I honestly do have a hard time saying nice things about Worski. We've had, okay. Good. Stay on this tip. Because Worski is the most fucking snake motherfucker in this whole game. And he is a retard, but he's not as retarded as people think. And please stay on this level of thinking, because that motherfucker will knife you before it's over with, and you'll never see it coming. And I know that from experience. And you'll always think you're smarter than Worski, because you are. Almost nobody isn't. And there are some, but I would say most people in this sphere are smarter than Worski. But what they're not as good at is manipulation. And especially manipulation with rank and file members of the audience who you probably don't talk to that often, if at all. But I guarantee you somebody does talk to them, and his name is Andy fucking Worski. And he's probably been sitting in Discord with them for more hours than you even knew they existed. And he knows all their favorite shows, and they played video games together, and he's talking shit behind your back right this very second. And if you think I'm bullshitting, I'm not. And underestimate him at your peril is what I'll say, Haus. I don't know if you have any takes on that, but everything I just said is 1,000% true.
Yeah, no, he's one of the most, like, he's manipulated so many of his little supporters, we'll call them, into just hanging around with him for years and years on end. He is the money with the Kino Casino. Yeah. Like, PPP has to do all the work because he has control over all of the supporters. Like, all of the supporters are with him in the Discord. They talk every day. They have fun. They play video games with Worski. They never do anything with PPP. Why? Because he keeps the two separated. Because he wants to have control over everything, and he's good at that. Like, he might be very, very stupid when it comes to absolutely everything else, but he's good at, like, manipulating situations into his favor. And friend simulating, yes.
Yes. And I mean, to be fair, of course, I don't think he thinks very much of a lot of these people, but he does spend a lot of time with them. And there are people I become friends with, you know, in the audience and this and that, but not everybody. And a lot of people I just see when I do the show. And I think they like it like that. I like it like that. But there are other people who, and it's just because I don't have time to be friends with everybody. I like to be alone by myself a lot too. Or it's like, okay, even people that I like, they'll message me. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. Like, I need to be by myself for a while. Like, just because I'm an extrovert and I'm an introvert. Like, if I don't have those introvert hours, then I don't feel like being extroverted. So I just almost have to have that. Anyway, let's see. We've had precisely one interaction before Kino Casino, and that was during the Tonkasaw boxing event. He had a really big chimp out with me on the air and started calling his boxing promoter a dumb whore and all sorts of other awful shit. Well, I'm just going Worski over and over again in disbelief. Well, you know what? It wasn't his boxing promoter. It was that fucking tranny dyke looking whore, Tara, whatever the fuck her name was.
Honestly based off Worski.
Yes, that was one of his most base moments. And of course, Josh had a problem with it. You know what, though?
Worski, you can say that to a woman. Worski,
that dyked up,
down? What a cuck.
Roid whore.
What a cuck.
She was roided out to the gills and probably still is. Yeah. With Tara
and she probably hangs around with men all day. Like women who hang around with men all day, they're used to this kind of stuff. Yeah, she probably thought it was funny.
You know what happened, though? I went on that show and calmed him down. and ended up the fight happened because of me, period. I went on the show and calmed him down. It was about to get completely scuttled, and the fight didn't actually happen, but the whole reason it was on course to happen, and we had the event in the first place.
Josh would explain this whole situation. He says for some reason she didn't care.
That's not what happened at all. I went over and smoothed that. I went on air and smoothed that over in front of thousands of people.
Ralph, for some reason, she just didn't seem to care about it. For some reason, she just didn't give a shit.
What the fuck? For some reason, she didn't care at all. That's not what happened, House. She definitely 100% cared. And I went on there and said, oh, look, Jaworski's high strong. And, forgive me, you know, he's worked up about this fight. And, I did my thing and smoothed shit over. That's what happened.
You know, for some reason, she just didn't care.
Yeah, it was the fucking loudmouth Southern gentleman who went on there and talked a bunch of bullshit so she wouldn't care. Jesus Christ.
This guy.
Because I saw it was a big deal for me too, right? Like I wanted it to happen because it was first I was on course to happen. I've been promoting it and I'm like, oh fuck, things are falling apart. I didn't care what he said about this roided out dyke. She was full of shit from the whole jump street. But I was like, okay, I got to get on there and smooth this over. That happened 100%. Anderson says Ralph can't start Gunt Gardens soon enough. The farms is right. Well, I mean, people believing. Would you be an admin on Gunt Gardens House? I don't know. I have to have some people.
I don't Janny. I wouldn't Janny for anyone.
Well, you have to find a set of Jannies, a very special set there. Be like,
I hear there's a guy, he's changing his name soon. He's retiring a character, so I think he's in need of a new job.
Wow,
I don't know.
That's true. We will have to get the top Janny involved. He hates Josh Moon more than anybody. That's his one redeeming quality. So and if we turn a blind eye,
do a stream on him soon on Saturday.
Yeah, you know what?
Do a team
I have to call the Golden Broom back into service House.
Maybe you should actually call Gator and do an anti-Kino Casino stream.
The one thing I never thought I would do. It's like their kryptonite. I have to get the Golden Broom back into service. You know what is so funny is I'd probably do it just for the content, just for the entertainment.
Yeah, but the Golden Broom
he wouldn't. Nah, he's too.
Like for some reason, even though he has absolutely no reason to, he hates you way more than you hate him.
It's crazy. I mean, he is a sick, insane pedophile. But like, I would do it just for the content, just for the love of the game, not the love of the child like him. But. But he wouldn't, even though, like you said, he's obsessed. He hates Josh Moon as much for some reason, but he really hates me. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, for some reason she didn't care at all and let him fight still. First off, this guy, she wasn't the one. She just knew the fight promoter and it helped set it up. She wasn't actually calling balls and strikes on the event not happening. Now, it wasn't great, and she maybe could have put the kibosh on it, but it actually wasn't her. Regardless, he doesn't fucking know. It's not that I don't like him on a personal level. Well, I don't. It's just that I don't really have anything to say about him. I've never discussed
Isn't this also crazy? Like, of all the interactions Josh Moon and Andy Worski had over the years, it's the one where Andy Worski was really mean to some bull dyke, probably lesbian fighting promo girl. And Josh Moon was just sitting in the corner going, Worski? Then he cites as the example here. The one time when Josh Moon was the brave woman defender once again.
Yeah, I don't know. Dyke, nasty bitch. But Josh Moon's a feminist. Regardless, Worski also spurred out at him. I think it might have been, it was after Knoxville. It might have even been after Miami, because Worski used to stream in the noonish time slot, and that's when Josh switched to the noon time slot, and Worski was pissed, even though he had a bigger show at the time, because Josh was eating into his views. And so he had several spurgouts about that too, but I noticed that Josh doesn't mention that. I've never discussed this with PvP, but I think the reason he's kept with Worski is either out of a sense of loyalty, well, that ain't it, and or my current theory is that Worski actually does a ton of show prep. Well, that ain't it. How dumb is this guy? Worski does a ton of show prep. He's never done that. Okay.
No, Worski does nothing.
and genuinely does good work with the production. I mean, he runs OBS. That's not that hard, guys. Okay. That PPP doesn't think he can easily replace or do by himself. No, it's what we talked about earlier. He's got a tab on the fucking
He's got a
supporters.
tab on the supporters.
Yes.
And he's got them all in his camp. None of the supporters are there for PPP.
People would be shocked. I know a lot of people think PPP is the talent, and he is more talented than Worski, but that ain't saying very much. But Worski, you'd be shocked at the killing field if they actually did split up and how nasty it would get for fat ass real quick. Real quick. There would be memes everywhere about this guy from the paying supporters. All this dirt would come out immediately. Worski would play the poor, picked upon tard, which is his favorite role. And you would see Jelly Roll get rolled. And people may not believe this, but I guarantee you that would happen.
But this already happened. This already happened. He already tried to fire Andy. And what did Andy do? Oh, guys, I'm off the drugs. I was just drinking boxed wine. I'm so sorry. I'm fucked up. I'm going to stop drinking. And what did PPP do? He looked like the asshole. And he did a bunch of fucking shitty-ass streams nobody tuned into. And nobody paid for it.
And Worski
was sitting on his couch talking about wrestling.
Worski is great at playing the picked upon retard, and they're being mean to me, and and other fellow retards who are more retarded than him. It's hard to believe. Feel sorry for that type of thing. And also people who are smarter who just go, oh, he's just a retard. He's a lovable retard. No, he's not. He's a malicious fucking piece of trash who should have been put down. Not Andy Jr. Andy Sr. should have been put down like the dog that he is, House.
True. Very true.
Okay, so Josh is completely wrong here again. Shocking. I don't mean operating OBS. I mean watching hours of footage. Worski doesn't do that. Clipping stuff, he doesn't do that either. Paying attention to news vectors, what? Who is he talking about? What in the world? No,
this is what Worski's famous for.
They have stooges who feed all this to him. Fat ass does more of that than Worski. Yeah. Okay, not actually clipping anything or anything like that, but paying attention to shit. So I'm sure Fat ass does way more. This
sentence is extremely rich. Just read it again. Paying attention to news vectors that people like me do not pay attention to. What kind of news vector is there in the sector that this guy is not paying attention to?
This is the guy who fucking runs Kiwi Farms, for fuck's sake! What did they fuck?
The guy who runs. What is this bizarre world bullshit?
How does Worski have his pulse? Mr. K's in the chat. How does Worski have his pulse on events more than Josh Moon, the guy who owns Kiwi fucking Farms?
Yeah, Mr. K, can you join the waiting room? He's got way more knowledge on this than I do. Like he's the Kiwi.
What is going on here? Expert. And no, I haven't read this before. Now I skimmed through it a little bit, and people were killing.
Yeah, no, this is not it.
Like, I purposely ignored it though, because I was like, whatever. I don't really want to talk about Josh. Yeah, fuck all this. And I should have read it long ago, but I was doing myself harm. Okay, the news vector king Andy Worski that people like me do not pay attention to, knowing basically everyone who has ever made appearances in the sector off the top of his head. He doesn't know that. This is insanity. I think those kinds of things have immense intangible value. Yeah, if he actually had those things, they would. Okay. So huge TLDR.
But he has an immense tangible value because he has all the supporters.
No, it's the intangibles. It's the things.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yes, it's the intangibles with Worski. Right. Okay. So huge.
Mr. K's in the waiting room. Can you pull him up?
Okay, let me finish this paragraph. So huge TLDR, but PPP has always been one of the most transgressive shit talkers in the sector, and what makes him really unique is that he did it for more than half a decade without taking a paycheck. No, he didn't. He did it for about 3 years without taking a paycheck. Just because he thought people like Ralph and Ricada who were sinners who didn't deserve the bounties they had been given. Wrong and wrong. He always planned on making money. His turn from anti-grifter to grifter was an honest to God, the city deserves a better class of criminal situation. That's the one paragraph that I read. Complete retardation. Fat ass always had designs on making money, and that was the game the whole time. Mr. K, how you doing, sir?
Ralph, what's up?
Dude, I take all the criticism. People try to get me to read this for weeks. I read that one paragraph at the end, kind of skimmed a few things, and it's like, I don't care. I'm not talking about Josh Moon. Fuck this shit. And then, of course, he's been talking shit about me on the sly this whole time, and I finally decided to stop ignoring it. So I read it just now, and it was complete garbage from start to finish, with maybe one or two. He said, Coach Love Cal. That was the one thing I remember being true in the whole thing, and most of it was highly off base, Mr. K.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I have to add, but it's really astounding how Josh lives in his own reality. It's not tied to our reality in any way, but just getting these little glimpses into what he thinks has gone on, and it's so awesome, like, to see how, like, things change in his mind over the years. It's really incredible. I guess I don't know if it's the drugs or the Adderall that he's taken, or just the years of isolation, being terminally online, no bitches. This is what no bitches does to a nigga.
Dude, I
don't even know.
So you're like me. Like, one of my things with Josh is I can never tell if he actually believes what he's saying. I tend to think he usually does, actually. And his brain has a way of warping untrue things into the truth, either because he misunderstood them because he's highly autistic, or he just wants them to be. I don't know. It's really weird. Like,
right, you might think it's like a joke. It's like a troll post because
No.
it's so insane. It's so divorced from reality. But this is like what he's convinced himself. I don't understand it.
Something is broken in his brain where I don't take it as a troll post. He actually believes this. And if he were to be talking to me right now, he would have 85 reasons why this was true, that was true, even though they're completely untrue. And I don't know.
You know what I think it is? I think it's that, like, so he's cool with PPP, right? He just, like, branch swings to any content creator because, like, he has no friends, he has no relationships, his mods, his users hate him. So, like, he desperately wants to rewrite history in his mind. It's his mind trying to heal his because it's cognitive dissonance, right? I mean, this man has called him a pedophile, called him some of the worst things that you can call another person. But yet he considers PPP his friend. And so this is how he breaches that gap, right? Like, he's done it before. We've seen this over and over and over again where, he fucks up a relationship, or somebody who hate him, he tries to become their friend. So this is him basically saying, okay, this is how, in my mind, I can be friends with PPP.
He retcons
this is the reality. Right, yeah, it's the retcon.
Yes. Well,
it's
and
so he can have a friend in this world.
Well, and it's just, it's exactly, we just hit upon it. It's the retconning, so he can justify what he's doing. Well, look, me and Ricada made peace, but I don't retcon everything that happened. Like, we said a ton of nasty things about each other, and it's all out there, and I don't go back and rewrite history. I still, I talked about how I still think I was right about bringing Fat Ass on his show and all this stuff, and there was some stuff I was wrong about, too. So especially some of the things I said about his family and stuff like that. I shouldn't have done that. But, it is what it is, and we buried the hatchet, but damn it, the hatchet was buried in each other's backs for a good year and a half, 2 years. Like, I don't just sit and rewrite history. Like, all that shit happened. Whereas Josh will make peace, for whatever reason, and then he goes back and changes the story. And people who don't actually know all this stuff because they lived it, like me, or people who were monitoring the situation, and they're like, this didn't happen. Well, not everybody either lived it or monitored the situation, and they hear, the fat fucking webmaster at Kiwi Farm spouting some bullshit, or read it, and they think it's true. That's what bothers me the most, is that some people think this is true, Mr. K. That's what actually bothers me. Not that
all
this
the new fags.
Yes. People who don't know the lore, they'll sit there and they're like, oh, wow, this is Josh Moon, the guy who decides who's a lolcow, who wanted to murder his mom at age 20 and was trying to import a 12-year-old to live in his house, and 15 other different fucking weird things about this fuck, and think he has some type of authority. Hold on, I'll let this play.
Mike sent $10 blood fi, 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 blood fi.
I'm saying Jim thinks you want to talk about Jim's opinions.
Okay, look, I'll pull that up. That's me and Josh Moon arguing. But everything I said there was true too. Medicare's never liked this fucker. He still doesn't, regardless. Thoughts about this? I haven't pulled up the it's Dog Zero basically correcting this whole thing. I haven't pulled that up yet, but thoughts on, and we didn't talk about that. How did the thread go from here? Both you guys could talk about that because he basically tried to tank the thread after this, my understanding, and turned all the text red. And these people are being spurged because they are not going along with my money-making alliance and my complete retconning of all events.
I'll leave it to Mr. K. He's the
well. I mean, you know, Dog Zero has like a photographic memory of all this stuff. He's an avid poster in the thread, and his video is very good. But yeah, I mean, you know, Josh, and like he just tells himself that whatever he's doing is righteous, and so he comes into the thread. He drops this, which is, you know, an all-time post. People see this, they're like, this is kind of crazy, Josh. He just spurgs out, starts arguing with people. Slowly, people start turning. And Josh takes the bait every time, right? Like, mad at the internet, that's the definition of Josh. You know, somebody replies to him in the thread, and he's like, you're a fucking N-slurf. I'll do the opposite of what you say just because, whether it's good advice or not. He just, you know, he's like a child. He's permanent. He's like Worski kind of in that he's permanently stuck in this childlike from trauma as a child or something. So, you know, he's banning people in the thread. He spurgs out about the red text because if you're not aware,
what's the red text about?
The red text, people started posting. Andy Worski is a child. He posted child porn on 2/19, whatever the day was, right? And so they started posting that in red text. I can't remember exactly why it started, but it became a thing. It became a trend. Everybody started posting it because people were trying to sweep it up. So it was like no, we're not sweeping this under the rug. We're saying it loud and proud. And Josh is like, no, you're spamming the thread. You can't do this. No. And so he spurgs out for months. He threatens like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to fucking ban people. So he finally snaps because people also start red texting in the Medicare thread because he says, oh, well, you can't call Medicare a pedophile even though Medicare's going on stream and like saying he's going to become a 5-year-old with big, you know,
dude, if I would have said that, they would have had the FBI on the line. Like,
yes, but these guys all get a pass. They all get a pass because they're the internet daddies. They run all the sites. They've created the troll shield, the janitorial squad. So anyway, so he finally snaps. He starts banning people for the red text. And this is where we are. So like of his own, and like even the people who are defending the casino at this point in the thread can't defend it any further. He has it's almost like it's an op by Josh to like turn people even further against the casino. But he's such a spurg. Like, this is what he really believes. This is what he thinks is righteous,
Well, I'd be giving him too much credit to think so.
Text.
Yeah, go ahead.
He got so mad at the red text, he just wanted to take it away from the people. So whenever you now pull up the Kino Casino thread, it's just all red text. Because he got so mad.
So that's what he did. So if he had just done this to begin with, he could have said, oh, I got the W. I'm owning the meme. It's ironic. But no, after he spurgs out and bans people over the red text, then he's like, you know what? I'm making the whole thing red text. And it's like, dude, you know.
You could have done that from the start. Instead of banning people. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, he does that too. If it was to turn into a full-blown, casinos going down type thing, he would try to take credit for it. Right? Like, that's what this guy does. Anyway.
True. Very true.
Yeah, well, that's what he would do. And it's always about, he's afraid of being purged himself. And he knows one day that's probably his ultimate fate, right? Is these people, they're going to turn on him. And he's deathly afraid of that, House. Anyway, go ahead.
Hopefully soon.
Well, I don't know when it'll happen.
The last thing
but it will happen.
Honestly, Ralph, you should read Josh's posts every day because I started doing that. Like, I never used to even look at Kiwi Farms. And just following this casino thread stuff, I read Josh's posts on Twitter. I will just go out on a limb and say he is, and I know some people don't like the term, he is the biggest lol cow in the sector right now.
Well, you know what?
None.
I don't like the term, but by using their own logic, he is. And I'll say this, he's clearly bothered and always has been that he gets no respect from anybody. If they act like they respect him, they don't. Right? Like, they just throw stuff at him to make him think they respect him. They don't. Yeah, he's a slave to them. And he clearly resents that, but he knows that's the case. And as soon as if he was to ever try to like break out of that slavery, his entire life would be destroyed. Not just the money making ability, but these fuckers are insane and they would fuck with him until he died. And he knows that. And he is trying to avoid that fate. And one day it's going to come to him.
And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Yeah.
I agree. And then everybody clapped. Thank you both for coming here on the kill stream. I didn't plan on doing that segment, but I'm glad I did. And I have a feeling there's going to be more segments of that nature in the upcoming schedule. So thank you both. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
No
Take
problem,
it easy.
love. My pleasure.
Haus and Mr. K live on the kill stream.
Thank you for watching this clip. This is Perspicacity. Remember to like and subscribe.